Commander Zeftar of the Krillian Empire had interrogated prisoners from 17 different species across the galaxy. Each had broken within cycles, their minds shattered by the sophisticated neural dampeners and psychological conditioning protocols that had never failed. The hulking, chitinous alien adjusted his mandibles in satisfaction as he observed the latest subject through the reinforced viewing portal. The human sat motionless in the center of the containment cell, arms and legs secured by energy restraints that would have crushed a Vraxian's bones to powder. For 3 full rotations, he had endured neural pain inducers, memory fragmenters, and reality distortion fields. Yet Captain Marcus Reed of the Terran Colonial Navy remained stubbornly intact, his dark eyes alert and, most disturbingly, amused. "Fascinating specimen," hissed Dr. Vexthul, the Empire's chief xenopsychologist. Her serpentine form coiled around the monitoring station as data streams cascaded across holographic displays. His neural patterns show stress, certainly, but they adapt within minutes. It's as if his brain is rewiring itself to compensate. Zeftar's claws scraped against the metal railing. Impossible. No species possesses such resilience. Increase the intensity. Commander, we've already exceeded safe parameters by 400%. At this level, most beings would be catatonic. Through the intercom, Reed's voice drifted out. Calm, conversational. You know, this reminds me of my old drill sergeant back on Mars. Except he was creative with his insults. You folks are a bit repetitive. The Krillian officers exchanged glances. Prisoners weren't supposed to make small talk. He's been studying our responses, Vexthul whispered, her scales shifting to a worried purple hue. Notice how he times his comments? He's mapping our reaction patterns. Reed had indeed been watching, listening, learning. While they tortured his body, his mind cataloged every detail. Guard rotation schedules glimpsed through brief door openings, the unique harmonic frequency of the station's power grid that hummed through the walls, the unconscious tells in his captor's body language, when they grew frustrated or uncertain. Humans, he reflected with grim satisfaction, were persistence hunters who'd chased prey across continents until it collapsed from exhaustion. Pain was temporary. Information was forever. "Let's try a more direct approach," Zeftar growled, storming into the cell. Reed looked up with genuine interest. "Finally. I was wondering when we'd get to the personal threats. That's usually Chapter 3 in the Evil Alien Overlord Handbook, right after the monologuing." The massive Krillian towered over him, bioelectric energy crackling between his claws. "Your homeworld burns, human. Your colonies are ash. Submit and your death will be swift." "See, that's where you made your mistake," Reed said conversationally. "You assumed breaking me would give you strategic intelligence about human defenses. But humans don't break the way you expect. All flesh breaks eventually." Reed's grin was sharp as a blade. "We evolved on a world that was constantly trying to kill us. Ice ages, volcanic winters, predators with fangs longer than your arm. We didn't survive by being the strongest or fastest. We survived by being too stubborn to quit and too clever to give up." As if summoned by his words, a subtle vibration ran through the station's hull. The lights flickered. Zeftar's antennae twitched nervously. "What?" "That would be the cascade resonance failure I've been building for the past 3 days," Reed explained helpfully. "Every time you cranked up those neural inducers, they interfered with your power grid. I just had to figure out the right frequency to sing at during the sessions to create a feedback loop." The alien's eyes widened in horror as he realized the truth. The human hadn't been enduring torture. He'd been conducting it like a symphony, using their own weapons to map and exploit their infrastructure. Emergency klaxons began wailing throughout the station. Through the cell's walls came the distinct sound of multiple system failures cascading through the facility's network. "The docking bay magnetic locks are failing," Vexthul's voice crackled over the intercom. "Half the fleet is breaking free from their moorings." Reed's restraints, powered by the same grid he'd been systematically destabilizing, flickered and died. He stood slowly, working circulation back into his limbs. "The beautiful thing about humans," he said, stepping toward the cell's malfunctioning door, "is that we don't just survive impossible situations. We turn them into opportunities." Zeftar lunged forward, but Reed had already analyzed the alien's movement patterns during their conversations. He sidestepped smoothly, drove an elbow into a nerve cluster he'd identified from studying the commander's anatomy, and watched the massive creature collapse. The station shuddered as explosions echoed through the corridors. Fuel lines rupturing, life support failing, artificial gravity fluctuating wildly. Reed appropriated Zeftar's command codes from his unconscious form and made his way to the docking bay where chaos reigned supreme. Dozens of Krillian vessels tumbled through space, their automated systems hijacked by the spreading network failure he'd orchestrated. He selected a sleek destroyer, the kind that would make an excellent gift for Terran naval intelligence, and activated its engines with the stolen authorization codes. As the ship pulled away from the dying station, Reed opened a communication channel to the remaining Krillian forces. "This is Captain Reed of the Terran Colonial Navy," he announced cheerfully. "Thanks for the hospitality, folks. Oh, and you might want to check your ammunition storage. I may have hummed a few notes in that direction, too." The massive explosion that followed lit up the system like a newborn star. 3 days later, Reed limped into Terran space flying a captured Krillian destroyer, followed by a dozen automated vessels he'd convinced to switch sides during his escape. His debrief would become legendary in intelligence circles, not for the information he'd gathered, but for the sheer audacity of what humans could accomplish when their backs were against the wall. The Krillian Empire never captured another human alive. They'd learned, too late, that breaking a human wasn't about inflicting pain. It was about understanding that humans didn't break. They evolved,